And let's make the nunchuck. So grab your rectangle tool, which is below the ellipse, and I'm going to just click once on the screen, and the nunchuck is going to be 7 by 75. So I'm just going to make it 7 and 75 here. So just highlight this, 75, click OK, and I'm going to modify the appearance. So the fill, we're actually going to copy the numbers from the staff. So I'm just going to hold shift and click here, and the colors for the staff were 30, and then 50, and then 75, and then 10. So that's the fill. The stroke, we're going to move it up 1, so that we're going to make it 2 points. And the stroke is going to be an outside stroke, and it's going to be black. You can choose black really quickly here by just clicking on it instead of shift click, but I'm just going to stay with the shift clicking because we're used to it. Make this 100 at the bottom, and then one more stroke we're going to add, and this is going to be on the inside, and it's going to be, the colors are going to be 40, 65, 90, and 35. Alright, so here's the chuck, one chuck at least. I'm going to move that a little closer to his hand. I'm going to make another chuck. Actually, this is a little bit tall. I'm just going to shrink it just a little tiny bit. There we go. I just clicked it and grabbed the middle here and pulled up, dragged up. You can keep it the same size as the original. It just looked a little bit tall to me, so I just shrunk it a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to use the Option or Alt key on the keyboard, and I'm going to make another copy of it. And this one I'm going to rotate a little bit. He's going to be holding it right here. And this one's going to be dangling down here. Alright, now we need to make the chain that goes from the nunchuck, and this is going to be probably the most confusing part, but if you just follow along you'll be fine. I'm going to use my ellipse tool, and for the chain I'm going to make it as thick as the chuck, which is 7, so 7 by 7. And this chain is going to have the same attributes as the sword and everything else. The stroke's going to be 1 point. The stroke is going to go on the outside. It's going to be a black stroke, so make that zeros and everything, and then 100. And the fill is going to be 0, 0, 0, and 35. And we're going to add one more stroke to this. This stroke's going to be on the inside at 1 point. And we're going to make this 75 at the bottom instead. Alright, there's our one chain. I'm going to put it right there. Okay, and I'm going to hold Alt, and I'm going to make a copy of it and put it down here. Alright, and we're going to do a blend here, and a blend basically draws this object between one and another, much like the flowers that we make in here, the vector flowers. This is going to be the same concept here. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm going to click on the other one, and that way I've got both of these selected. Now you want to make sure you're not selecting anything but the two circles. So I'm going to click the circle, hold Shift, and make sure I'm on the circle, not on the chuck arm. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to go to Object, Blend, Make, and through these in between, I'm going to go to Object, Blend, Blend Options, and I'm going to go to Specified Steps here for spacing, and I'm going to turn this down to 6. I'm going to click OK. Okay. Now the chain's going straight down to it. What I want to do is make a shape that looks like it's going down to the chuck, like he's swinging it and the chain kind of flew around this direction. And so we're going to use the pen tool. So grab the pen tool and stroke 1 point. Make sure that you turn the stroke on. Don't have it at 0 points. And I'm just going to go ahead and choose black. Or yeah, black is the stroke. Black is the fill. That's fine. And actually, I'm going to turn the fill off. There we go. So black is the stroke. Fill is off. Pen tool. And with the pen tool, I'm going to just like come up here at the top of the chain here, and I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click again over here and hold the mouse button down, and you'll make a little curved line here, like that. And then I'm going to come down to the bottom here and just finish that up, like that. And so you got this little bow here. And I'm going to use my selection tool, and I'm going to select the line, and I'm going to hold shift and select the row of chains that I have here so that both of them are selected. I'm going to go up to object and go to blend, and I'm going to go to replace spine. And that's going to make the chain go off like this so that it looks like the chain has been swung like so, and it's following this new direction. Now right now it looks kind of awkward because the chain, this thing is hanging straight down, so I'm just going to click it and I'm going to rotate it just a little bit, and I'm going to use my arrow keys to nudge it into place like that. There we go. And now this guy is complete, so I'm going to highlight him. I'm going to go to object, group, and all of my ninjas are done. Alright, the last thing we're going to do is give them a little background to stand on and make some shadows below them. And so what I'm going to do is go to my layers, and my layers are right here, this little button. And you can also go to window layers right here. We're on layer 1. What I want to do is just click layer 1 once and make a new layer, layer 2. I'm going to double click it, and I'm just going to name it background. And I'm going to drag the background down to the bottom so that it's below. Now I don't want to mess with these guys right now, so just to be safe, I'm going to go right next to the eyeball here and turn on the little padlock to lock layer 1. And I'm only going to be working on the background layer right now. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the stroke off. And for my color, I'm going to make a rectangle. And I'm going to go so that I'm just slightly above 50%. See, if you can draw this, you can be off a little bit, but what I'm going to do is just draw so that the floor that they're standing on is a little bit above the middle, right there. I'm just going to draw a rectangle that covers the entire thing. This is going to be the floor that they're standing on. And I'm going to go to appearance, and with the fill, I'm going to do 00080. That's going to be the floor that they're standing on. I'm just going to take my arrow key and I'm going to hold Alt, and I'm going to make the wall here. I'm just going to make another piece come off here, and I'm going to just shrink this down so that it locks onto there. And for this one, we're going to make it 0000 or 00060. That's going to be the little background. So we're just making a simple background. Now if you notice, these there's a little gap here between the two. So I'm just going to select my wall here and arrow it down until it touches the other layer. In fact, I can even overlap it. There we go. Now there's no white showing up. Okay, so on our layers, we've just made the background layer, and I'm going to lock that layer, and then I'm going to unlock layer 1. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to bring my ninjas onto the stage here. And I'm going to make some little shadows that are going to be below. I'm going to just use my ellipse tool, so I'm going to grab my rectangle and use the ellipse tool. And I'm going to click and I'm going to make it 200 by 50. And I'm going to click on my appearance, and the fill I'm going to make 88, 000, 88. And if I drag that on right there, it covers up his feet, but if I just click on this, right click it, and go to Arrange Send to Back, now he's standing on a little shadow here. And I'm just going to set it so that it's right in the middle of him. And I'm going to click on this guy and hold the Alt, and I'm going to just put this little shadow below all of my ninjas here. Actually, I'm going to spread this guy out a little bit. I'm just nudging him over with my arrow keys. This guy I'm going to move over a little bit too, and his shadow. And you can actually select both of them and move them all at the same time. This guy, both of these guys are going to be a little bit smaller because they're in the background. So I'm just going to click on this guy. I'm going to go up to the top left corner. Oh, I would save this first. Go ahead and save this first. Just save it as an Illustrator file. Okay, I'm going to click on this guy and hold Shift and just shrink him down a little bit. Actually, scratch that. Undo. I'm going to make a copy of him. Hold the Alt key, move this guy off the screen. Click on this guy, hold the Alt key, and move this guy off the screen because we want to make sure that we have some backups here in case we want to go back to the original versions. Okay, now I'm going to click on this guy, hold Shift, shrink him down a little bit. He's going to be in the background. Click on this guy, shrink him down a little bit, and I'm going to kind of flip him so he's kind of like doing a flip in midair. And I'm going to click on this little shadow here, hold the Alt key, and I'm going to move it below this guy. And since he's in midair, he's jumping up into the air. I'm actually going to move him a little bit higher. His shadow is going to be a little bit smaller too. I'm just going to make his shadow a little bit smaller. The last step before we export this, I want to use the type tool, and I'm going to choose white here for my color, and I'm going to go to character, and I'm just going to choose Arial, and I'm going to choose a bigger point than 12. Let's just try 24 and see how that looks. And I'm going to click right here below my ninjas. And it actually switched back to black, so let's just type this. I'm going to type, "We've got Mr. Curtis's back," but instead, for you, I just like you to write, "We've got whatever your name is back." So instead of Mr. Curtis, put your name. And I'm just going to highlight that and turn it to white. And it's actually a little bit small, so I'm just going to go to the 24 up here and change it to, let's say, 48. There we go. And I'm going to put this in the center. with the arrow keys, just nudge it into the center, and then you're going to save this. And now it's time to save, so go ahead and go up to File and go to Export, and you're going to name it Ninjas as the title, but make sure that you put period, underscore, and then your period number and all that good stuff. Save as type JPEG. It's going to say AutoCAD when you first start, so just choose JPEG. And then you're going to choose Use Artboards. This is a very important step, and go ahead and just make all as your type instead of range. This is going to make it so that you only save what's inside this border, and so these extra guys out here won't be saved. So make sure that you check Use Artboards, and then hit Save. And then for the quality, we're just going to make it the maximum quality, so just go ahead and put 10. And then everything else you can keep standard, and click OK. And that's it. That's what you're going to drop in the Dropbox.